Hey guys, so I thought I would do another little out and about walkie vlog again today because he's all liked it the other day. I'm just kind of hoping the rain stays off. It's one of those weird days in Scotland where it's really rainy and it's really horrible, hence why I've got my parka on, but at the same time like the sun comes out, hence why I've got the sunglasses on. And also here in Scotland in the summer, because we've got so much greenery, there's lots of pollen about, and I get really bad hay fever, which is pretty annoying because like my eyes all swell up and everything. So if I keep sunglasses on, it stops the pollen from getting into my eyes as much. So even on like non-sunny days in the summer, I will still wear my sunglasses. That's when like I go to Spain in the summer or anywhere else that's not as green, I don't get affected by hay fever at all because there's not as much grass. I mean, I'm going to the park just now, but that's just, it's green all around me, which yes is a good thing if you don't have hay fever, but if you do, it's a pain in the fucking bum. So anyways, what are we going to talk about today? I guess I'm going to do a wee story time thing. There's something that I was wanting to tell you guys, and why not do it now as I'm walking along. I've mentioned it in some of my really earlier videos about my eating disorder, but I've not really mentioned it in so much detail. I'm going to actually do my eating disorder story video with pictures, but any photos and things are at my parents' house at the moment. So I'll need to like go back and get all them. So I'll do that at some point, right? So that'll be an upcoming video. But one experience that I want to talk to you about is there was a point in my eating disorder that I was in a coma for 4.5 days, and it wasn't directly because of my eating disorder. I'm going to explain to you what happened. Now, it was when I was an inpatient, okay, and I'd been an inpatient for a year. I think I'd been in about a year and a half, and as you can imagine, I was going off my head. I could not stand it. Like, it was so bad. I just wanted out of there. So what I'd done was I managed to escape from the hospital because I'm just like that, and I ran away, and I took some money with me. I got the train to Edinburgh, which is another big city here in Scotland. I'm based in Glasgow. So I got the train from Glasgow to Edinburgh, which takes just over an hour. And I was just wandering about Edinburgh that whole day. I had my phone on me, obviously, and there was all these calls and everything, and off people, and I was just ignoring them. And then my mum was texting me and everything, but I was just ignoring everyone. The hospital were trying to phone me, and then like I had a voicemail. So, well, I had loads of voicemails, but then I listened to one of them, and it was what's her name, my psychiatrist doctor who was in charge of my care, and she was saying, look Lauren, if you come back, then if you don't come back, we'll need to get the police out and do a police search for you, but if you do come back, then we'll look into perhaps outpatient treatment rather than being inpatient again. And I was like, fuck yes, outpatient. So I kind of was like, right, I agreed to that, and I went back, and so I got to go outpatient. And then the deal was that as long as I was still putting on weight, I could remain outpatient. And obviously that would mean I would just need to go into the hospital on the train every morning, and then go back home right like at the end of the day, sort of like 5 o'clock-ish, you know. So I was in for the day. So I was like, right, okay, that sounds fine. But I couldn't put on weight. I could not put on weight. I couldn't do it. It was like too hard, and I was so scared to go back inpatient. That's the last thing I wanted that I could not deal with. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I need to put on weight, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And the treatment that I received at the hospital was shit, so it wasn't even helping me. So I went to a shop, right, it was like, it's a shop that sells like loads of fishing stuff, and you know, like if you like, there's weights for fishing, so I bought all these like little weights, and then when I used to go in, I used to get weighed every Tuesday morning, so I'd go in the train and I would tie all these little weights to my pants and everything in my underwear and make it look like that I'd put on weight. And but then there's only so much fishing weights you can tie to yourself. And then at the time I was doing like my hires, which are like my exams, my school exams, and I was basically teaching myself, and then I was reading like the chemistry books, and then it was talking about like the weight of like water, and it said like, it was something that was like 1 litre of water weighs 1 litre of water weighs a kilogram. And the only thing that I could think of in my head, like something just clicked, and I was like, 1 litre of water weighs a kilo, and I'm sort of expected to put on half a kilo a week. I was like, so all I need to do is drink like 500 mils of water and I'll gain half a kilo. Easy peasy. Easy fucking peasy. Do you know what I mean? Because I knew I hadn't done well that week, and then I was like, maybe next week I'll do better and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It was meant to just kind of be a short-term solution. So I drank 500 mils of water before getting weighed, and I'd put on half a kilo, and it was like, oh brilliant, Lauren, you've put on half a kilo, you can get like, you got like things like extra passes or time out of the hospital if like the more weight. Oh, there's so much going on here, sorry. The more weight that you put on. So I was like, yeah. And I was like, I told myself, I was like, this week I'll do really well and put on weight. But I couldn't again. So when it came to next week getting weighed, I drank my 500 mils of water again, but no more weight had get put on. And then I went on like that the next week as well, and I was like, do you know what, I need to put on weight this week. So I drank another 500 mils of water. So I had to drink 1 litre of water before getting weighed this time. So I drank that going in on the train, and then I got weighed. And then I put on another half kilo, which was all good. But then what happened was, I started to, like, I still couldn't put on weight. I was still fucked up in the head. So I ended up drinking more and more and more and more, right? And I'd go in the train and I'd have bottles and bottles of water, like litre bottles of water with me, and I'd have to drink those before going in and getting weighed. So every week I was adding on like a few 100 mils, and it got to the point where I was drinking 5 litres of water on the train going in, and my stomach felt like it was going to burst. I was crying, I was throwing up water everywhere, like, it was awful. I was like shitting, like that. Sorry for the graphic images, right, but this is like a triggering part, guys. Like, if you don't want to listen to this, it's quite horrible. But like, I mean, because I was drinking all that water, I was just basically shitting. I was like peeing and everything, you know what I mean? I had to like run off the train into a bush and go and pee. That's how bad it was. Or go and like shit loads. But then obviously if I'd done that, then I knew that I would have had lost some of that water, so I had to drink even more. But I didn't think it was dangerous. I didn't know anything about the consequences. I just thought it was water, I'll pee it out. You know, water's not harmful, I'll just pee it out. But little did I know that it is harmful. And there's a thing called water loading, and that's what I was doing. And it's one of the most dangerous things that you can do. You see, what happens is your cells are made up, like, they've got electrolytes in them, they've got salt, they've got, you know, the cells in a human body. And basically what I was doing, I was saturating my cells with water. I was basically diluting my blood, right? So, sorry, I'm just getting away from these people because I don't want them to hear me talking. So I was diluting my blood, right? My blood wasn't blood anymore. It was water running through my veins. But I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about this. And you know, I felt so lightheaded, I was almost fainting, I felt awful. But like I say, I just thought, you know, this is just going to be a temporary thing for a few hours and it'll wear off. And I was doing that week after week. And that's actually, believe it or not, that's how a lot of, see people that take ecstasy, that's how they die, because they end up drinking loads of water with it, and the same thing happens to them. You basically drown yourself internally. That's exactly kind of pretty much what happens in a nutshell. You drown yourself internally. So I was doing that every week, and then one week I remember was just awful. I'd never felt this bad before, and I was running off the train, I was shitting everywhere, and then I had to drink more and more water. And this is really difficult to talk about, guys, now, like actually thinking about it, so bear with me here. And then I got to the hospital and I was shaking and everything, and I went in and I got weighed. I had lost some weight, but then that day I was supposed to be going back to my own school, and like back where I lived. I was to only go in and get weighed, and then I was allowed to go out to my own school because I had something on, because that was one of the rewards that I got for putting on weight, even though I hadn't been putting on weight. And the thing is, apparently I found out after all this happened, right, but apparently the staff actually knew I was waterloading. They didn't know to the extent to which I was waterloading, but the fact is that they were still letting me do it, which is fucking awful, right, fucking awful. Right, so then I went and got weighed, and then I got let out, and I went to my own school that day. And then I used to walk home after final period, which was at 3:30. I used to walk home with one of my friends. And the thing is, I cannot remember anything about that. I cannot remember being at school that day. On my way home, I took a brain seizure because the water just like yeah, I don't even want to go into all the science of it and everything, but basically everything was diluted and I took a brain seizure. And I was like lying on the ground, like having this seizure. My pal didn't know what was up with me, so she called an ambulance. She called my mum. The ambulance came, had to take me to the hospital. No one knew it. No one knew what had happened. No one knew. And then I got taken to the local A&E, and they said we can't do anything for her. We need to take her to the specialist brain unit. So like this ambulance was going like 100 miles an hour, taking me to this place. My parents were trying to like keep up with the ambulance in the back of the car, and yeah, basically I was at like this specialist hospital for like where the top neurosurgeon is in the whole of the UK, and yeah, he basically told my parents that I was a goner, that I would either die, or if I did not die, I would be, using his terms, a vegetable for the rest of my life. And he explained everything, and I was on these drips, and they said they would try, and because you've got to bring your like sodium levels and everything, your electrolyte levels back into balance, but they've got to do it very slowly, because if they do it too quickly, that's just as dangerous. So they had to try and regulate all that and everything, but of course I have no recollection of this. So I was like, I was in this coma for 4.5 days. But the one thing that I do remember is that there was one night and I thought I was having a dream, and it was all these people and it was all these bright lights, and at the end it was like the end of a tunnel, and I was going along that tunnel, and it was just light, and it was people shouting, Lauren, come on. But then at the other end of the tunnel behind me there was my parents, and they were shouting me, and the people at the other end of the tunnel were shouting me, and I was moving towards the other end of the tunnel, and then I heard my mum's voice behind me, and she started singing an Oasis song. Like, I've spoke here about that I love Oasis, and I just heard my mum's, like, oh my god, I'm pure crying here, thank god I've got like sunglasses on. I heard my mum's voice singing my favourite Oasis song, and I turned round and I went back. And to me, I don't know if that was like a near-death experience or what, but I went back, and then it was just darkness again. And then I felt people shaking me, and they were going, Lauren, and it was like people trying to wake me up. But I thought like I was having a dream, and people were trying to wake me up, and I was so tired, and then I just was lashing out, going, fuck off. And then I fell asleep again, obviously, like I don't remember anything after that. But the next morning I woke up in this hospital bed, and I was like, where the fuck am I? And I was looking about, and I was in this hospital. And the first thing that I'd done was look down at my legs in case I'd been in an accident and had my legs amputated, because that is like my worst fear. My legs were still there, and I was like, am I dreaming or something? My brain was all foggy, and then all these nurses and doctors came running over to me, like, with all this awe on their face, like, and going, oh my god, she's awake, oh my god, she's awake. And I was like, what the fuck has happened here? And then the top neurosurgeon came running in, and he was like, she's awake. And he was like, what's your name? And I was like, Lauren. And I goes, where the fuck am I? And I was like, what the fuck's happened to me? And he goes, you drunk too much water. And then it dawned on me, I was like, shit. Do you know what I mean? I'm laughing now, but anyway, so he wheeled me in, and I ended up getting I'd already had a CT scan, and I had to get an MRI scan and everything, but basically this doctor could not believe that I was actually alive and awake and stuff, and I had to stay in the hospital another couple of days, and my brain was working so slow, because I remember I was listening to music, and the music was going fast, but the music actually wasn't going fast. It was because my brain was working so slow. So that's my experience in a coma for 4.5 days. My parents and everyone getting told that I wasn't going to make it, and I did. And that's one of the dangers of eating disorders that people don't understand. People, you know, I never knew that. I never knew that something like that could happen, and it did, and it almost killed me. And the fact that I didn't die, I just look at that now as a reason. There was a reason that I didn't die, and I need to, obviously, I need to be so grateful for that. And every day I wake up and I know I'm alive, and I am so grateful for that. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, this has been a pretty long video, so thank you all for listening to my ramblings. Yeah, like I say, thanks for everything, like your support through all the things in my channel, and yeah, I love you guys to bits, I seriously do, and I hope my videos are helpful, and I shall speak to you soon.